our Maggie's just after the king being diagnosed. Nobody could say anything, but looked at everybody who was suffering and all the relations.
The Queen of England is sitting alone inside a royal residence, holding a printed announcement, and she is crying. Not camera-ready tears, the kind that break a person from the inside. And when she finally speaks, her voice cracks on 3 words. They have erased us. Here's what sent her over the edge. On the surface, it was a lovely little royal moment. Prince George, the future king, was handed a ceremonial title. Polished palace statement. Perfect photographs. Everyone nods along. But behind that performance, something genuinely ugly was happening. Camilla didn't break because she dislikes George. She broke because this exact title was the one she had spent years quietly believing could win. Day go to her own grandson, Freddy Parker Bowles. And the way she found out it wasn't happening, the official press release. The same announcement the public got. No private conversation with her husband, no quiet heads up. She learned the truth like everyone else, and the message landed like a verdict. You can wear the crown, Camilla, but your family is still not one of us. Before we go any further, if you enjoy royal deep dives like this, hit that like button and subscribe to Crown Chronicles. It helps this channel more than you know. Now let's rewind, because you cannot understand why this crushed her without understanding what she had been building for years. Camilla didn't walk into the royal family with a clean slate. She was the woman blamed for tearing apart a marriage the whole world had been watching. Reporters called her the Homewrecker Queen, and the label followed her for more than a decade. But once she became queen consort, nobody could challenge her place beside Charles. That's when the battle shifted. It wasn't about her anymore. It was about her bloodline. So she started building quietly. It began with invitations. Suddenly, her family started showing up at royal events they'd never been invited to before. Then came the photographs, carefully staged. Freddy Parker Bowles began appearing closer and closer to that royal frame, and people inside her own circle saw what she was doing. She was grooming Freddy into the acceptable face of her family, someone charming enough and royal-looking enough to finally bridge the gap between her world and theirs. She never demanded a title outright, but when Charles took the throne, there was reportedly serious talk behind closed doors about giving Freddy a minor hereditary title. A barony, maybe. Nothing huge enough to make the public scream, but big enough to force the Parker Bowles name into the official royal record. And that's when things turned absolutely brutal. At the traditional Christmas walk to church, Camilla made her boldest move yet. She arranged for Freddy to stand directly behind Prince George, where every camera would catch him shoulder to shoulder with the future of the monarchy. But a senior courtier spotted what was happening before a single shutter clicked. Freddy was pulled out of line and shoved to the back, next to household staff, just seconds before the photographers started shooting. And the wildest part? Camilla watched every second of that humiliation from across the courtyard. Her own grandson, physically removed, pushed to the back like someone had suddenly remembered he didn't belong there. And she couldn't do a thing. But if you think that was the lowest point, hold on. The people responsible had a name, and what they did next makes that walk look like a warm-up. Prince William and Catherine, too. The public, they're the modern royal couple, warm and relatable. But people close to them say their real plan is far more calculated. From the moment William stepped into a senior role, he followed one rule and never broke it. Protect the bloodline. The monarchy survives only if the public sees the line as clean and direct. Blood matters, and titles have to prove it. And that's exactly where the quiet war with Camilla began. She wanted a blended family tree. They wanted the opposite. Only direct Windsor blood gets a title. So when Camilla started floating title ideas for her grandchildren, here's where it gets almost embarrassing. William didn't even argue with her. He went completely silent. And that silence wasn't hesitation. It was calculated. Years earlier, Camilla had won a smaller victory at a state event, then reportedly leaked the details to a friendly royal reporter, spinning it as proof the family was finally embracing her kids. The palace was blindsided and had to walk it back. William never forgot that mess. It proved exactly what would happen if he gave Camilla even an inch. So this time his answer wasn't even a firm no. It was total silence. And Catherine wasn't just sitting there either. She personally asked for Freddy to be cropped out of the royal Christmas card photo. His face next to George, Charlotte, and Louis would suggest a status he did not have. Then came the moment Camilla truly understood how far she had fallen. Right after Charles's coronation, she requested a private meeting with Prince William. Think about that. She never even had to ask with Charles, because he always came looking for her first. But William's office scheduled it 3 weeks out, then quietly folded it into a group briefing, packed with senior staff. She never got her private audience. Not once. And then came the announcement that ended everything. When Prince George was finally handed the ceremonial title reserved only for future kings, the very title Camilla had spent years hoping would go to Freddy Bowles, this wasn't just news. It was the answer. Loud, public, impossible to twist. The monarchy's future belongs to the Windsors, not the Bowles line. Staff say William knew precisely how she would react and made zero effort to soften the blow. A source close to the family said it best. William wasn't cruel. He simply wasn't sentimental, especially when it came to protecting the crown. So while the world celebrated Prince George stepping into his new role, Camilla sat in the royal residence in tears. It wasn't about the title. It was about her own grandson being told, without a single word ever said to his face, that he never stood a chance. But right in the middle of this entire mess stood one man, trapped between the woman he loved and the son who will one day take his place. Charles. For years, Camilla leaned on him to push her family forward, expressing wishes quietly. Hopes really. Maybe a title for Freddy one day. And Charles, ever the diplomat, always had the perfect answer. We'll find the right moment. He told her that more than once. Well, then the actual moment arrived, and Charles was standing at a brutal crossroads. Give Freddy the title and risk an all-out war with Prince William, or hand it to his own heir and completely shatter his wife. In the end, Charles chose the crown, because honestly, when it really comes down to it, he always does. But sources say he hesitated first. He didn't just roll over. Charles proposed a compromise, an old Dormant honorific, last used generations ago for a distant relative never in line for the throne. No land, no income, no claim to succession. Freddy would simply carry a royal-sounding style at official events, without touching the peerage system. Charles practically built the thing so William could say yes without surrendering anything that actually mattered. William said no anyway, and Charles finally caved. Here's the moment it happened. He called in his private secretary and told him to draft the announcement, naming Prince George as the one receiving the ceremonial title. Then he added one more instruction. Make sure Freddy Bowles' name, or any mention of an alternative title, never appears in the briefing materials. Camilla wasn't told any of this. A palace insider later confirmed it. Charles simply didn't want to fight his son. Father against son, king against future king. He wasn't willing to go there. So the news reached Camilla the exact same way it reached the public, through the official press release. An insider said she froze on the spot when she saw George's name. To outsiders, it looked perfectly normal. He's the future king, after all. But to Camilla, it confirmed everything she had feared for months. Her family would always come second. Always. That night, behind closed doors, the composed Camilla everyone had watched for decades disappeared. She broke down completely. An eyewitness said she held the printed announcement and said, "They have erased us. After everything, they have erased us." Charles tried to comfort her, and out came the soft, rehearsed explanations about tradition, public expectation, royal strategy. She wasn't having any of it. She looked at her husband and said it straight to his face. "You let them humiliate me." And that's when the whole thing became even uglier. Because suddenly this wasn't a betrayal from William anymore. William had never promised her anything. This was a betrayal from her own husband. For a woman who had stood beside Charles through decades of scrutiny and outright rejection from his own family, this felt like a knife from the one person who was supposed to protect her. She reportedly looked him dead in the eye and asked, "Did you even try?" Charles was sorry, but he wasn't apologetic. He genuinely believed he'd made the right call for the institution, for the crown, for history itself. Wonderful for history, perhaps. Not so wonderful for the woman sitting in front of him, completely wrecked by it. In the days after, Camilla canceled commitments, officially blaming health concerns. Staff noticed the change immediately. Quiet, distant, ice cold. Here's one tiny detail that says more than any headline could. For years, Camilla had personally picked out Charles's tie. Every single morning. Their small private ritual. After the announcement, she stopped. Completely. She handed the job to his valet. No explanation. When he asked why, she let the silence sit between them. And for the first time since they got married, Camilla no longer felt safe with the man who had once defied the entire world just to be with her. And here's the part that takes this story beyond one woman's heartbreak. While everyone watched Camilla's tears and George's new title, something much bigger was taking shape. Behind palace gates, a generational divide, so deep historians are already calling it a fracture. On one side stands the future, a sharper, leaner House of Windsor. William, Catherine, and their children, molded into one tight modern royal core. On the other side, the Parker Bowles family, what insiders quietly call the blended branch. Loyal, present, always around, but completely unofficial. Welcome in the photographs, locked out of the protocol. One royal historian said it best. You're watching two royal visions rip apart in real time. Camilla wanted a legacy that pulled her whole family in. William is building one that strips everything away except pure bloodline. And both of them are completely convinced. They're right. Think about Freddy Parker Bowles. He's growing up inside royal walls without a single title. He walks the same corridors as everyone else, but his name won't appear in any official registry. At one family Christmas at Sandringham, the place cards reportedly told the whole ugly story before anyone opened their mouths. Freddy was seated in a separate anteroom, with staff, children, and distant cousins. Close enough to see the dining room, but not actually inside it. That year, Freddy was finally old enough to understand what that seating arrangement meant. He turned to his mother and asked why he wasn't sitting with Prince George. And really, what was she supposed to tell him? She didn't have an answer. If this story kept you hooked this far, do me one small favor. Hit that like button right now, and subscribe to Crown Chronicles so you never miss the next deep dive into the palace's biggest secrets. This channel is built on stories exactly like this one. Because here's the truth that brings this whole story home. The monarchy's future is going to be entirely Windsor-centered. Full stop. That argument is over. The real question is what that kind of purity actually costs. And the answer could be painfully simple. A family divided. Permanently. Because for Camilla, the crown was never just about personal glory. It was redemption. After years of being mocked, whispered about, and blamed for one of the most notorious love triangles in royal history, the crown was proof she had survived all of it. She fought hard for a place at the heart of this monarchy, and she got it. But she never imagined that the same institution she'd spent years clawing her way into would one day quietly shut the door on her own family. She pictured a legacy, a future where her grandchildren stood beside the Windsors, recognized, remembered. Instead, she was left holding one brutal truth. She may be queen, but her family was never royal. And somewhere in a royal residence, on the night the world celebrated a little boy's new title, that truth broke the most powerful woman in Britain. Which makes you wonder, if this is what winning looks like inside the royal family, what does losing look like?